What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel, and it's time to give you our updated top 25 college football rankings for Week 9 of the 2023 college football season. We are now officially heading into the last weekend of the month of October here and for the 2023 college football season. And again, we're going to give you my updated top 25 rankings after what happened from week number 8. And it was a crazy weekend. A lot of crazy upsets happened yesterday, or I should say over the weekend in week number 8 of the 2023 college football season. A lot of upsets happened, and, the rankings are going to be different here this week, compared to last week. I mean, obviously, these rankings are going to be based off of resumes and also how the teams have played this year in the 2023 season. And also, we're starting to see these teams get a lot better and better each and every single game. So, again, we're going to be basing this off of resumes and, of course, what's happened over the course of the 2023 season. And, again, this is my top 25. This is not the real top 25. Basically, I've been doing my own top 25 week by week. We've been doing this ever since the beginning of the season. And, again, just ranking these teams based off of resumes now. And also, the first 4 weeks we couldn't base it off of resumes. And now we're basing it off of resumes as we get into the later part of the year. But, again, this is, we're heading into the last month of October, or the last weekend of the month of October, before we have our first playoff rankings in the month of November coming up in about a couple more weeks. So let's get to my top 25 rankings here for week number 9 of the 2023 season, and we'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top. From 21 through 25, I got 2 new teams here in the top 25 this week. I got Liberty here at number 25 and James Madison here at number 24. Both of these teams are undefeated. Liberty, close win over Middle Tennessee State. I did watch their game. It was kind of my first time watching a Conference USA game this season. I don't really keep up with the Conference USA teams, and definitely not the Group of 5 teams, but I've been keeping up with some of them. Some of them have been very impressive. Liberty definitely has been a very impressive Conference USA team. Remember, they used to be in the independent schools. Now they're obviously in a Conference USA school now. So Liberty here at number 25. James Madison sitting at the top of the Sun Belt right now. They're undefeated. This is a good James Madison team. They were really good last year, and this year they're carrying that momentum. So they're here at number 24 here. So these have been the most 2 surprise teams, out of the Group of 5 teams this year. And then you got Air Force here, another surprise team. I ranked this team last week at number 25. I think they deserve to move up 2 spots just based off of what happened over the weekend from this past weekend in week number 8. Air Force, it was a close game against Navy, which we knew was going to be a close one. But again, Air Force has a really good defense. You saw that in the game against Navy. And the offense just, can run the football pretty well. So Air Force, James Madison, and Liberty, these are undefeated teams here out of the non-Power 5 teams. So they're here from 23 to 25. I got Florida here at number 22. A lot of people are not going to agree with this, but Tennessee did lose to Alabama, this past weekend. It was kind of enough, not enough for me to keep them here in the top 25 because Tennessee doesn't have a resume. They don't have like a top 25 win, and Florida's the team that beat Tennessee in the regular season. Remember, Florida has a top 25 win over Tennessee, and that was kind of enough for me to put them back here in the top 25. I know they just had a bye week. They didn't play this weekend, but, they deserve to be here in the top 25 just based off of that resume and everything. So Florida here back in the top 25 this week. They have a tough matchup coming up this weekend against Georgia. That game is going to be very tough for Florida, but maybe the bye week kind of helps them out a little bit to compete with Georgia at least, maybe in the first half. But we're going to give you we gave you a game preview / game prediction on that game yesterday. You can go back and watch that video if you've not seen it yet. Duke here at number 21. I think they have a better resume than Florida. I'm not going to penalize Duke here after losing to Florida State. I think they definitely are a really good team. I think this team has a really good chance to make the ACC championship, and it's maybe likely that we could probably see Duke and Florida State in a rematch in the ACC championship just based off of what happened in the ACC this past weekend. Duke has a better resume, like I said, than Florida. They have that top 10 win over Clemson, and they were just very competitive against Notre Dame in that game as well a couple weeks ago. So I got Duke here at number 21, and these are my rankings from 21 through 25. Let's now go to 16 through 20. I got UCLA at number 20. This is a team that is coming off a big win on the road at Stanford, so not much to talk about them. But, again, the Pac-12, when you look at the standings, UCLA has a chance to maybe make the Pac-12 championship, even though they already have 2 losses. But UCLA here at number 20, Tulane at number 19. This has been one of the best group of 5 teams, I believe, still in the country. Tulane is there at 6-1. When you look at Tulane, they don't have like a good resume, to move up in the rankings, but, they had that close loss to Ole Miss without their starting quarterback in that game, and I'm still keeping them here in the top 25 just based off of that performance against Ole Miss. So I got Tulane here at number 19. North Carolina at number 18, coming off that brutal loss to Virginia. It's more than likely now that the ACC second place spot is definitely going to be wide open. When you look at the standings, you got North Carolina that's still in there. They could probably still make the ACC title game. And then you got Louisville in there as well. I mean, you obviously got Duke in there, just like I mentioned. So, yeah, that second place spot, I mean, it's now really likely that Florida State's going to be playing a new team. Remember, we said all college football season that it was likely North Carolina versus Florida State because obviously both of these teams were undefeated and they didn't have a conference loss. But now when I look at the standings, North Carolina might be in trouble because they still have a tough schedule the rest of the way. They still have to play Clemson on the road, which they did lose to Miami and everything. They also have to play NC State on the road. So it's more than likely that North Carolina could probably lose 2 more games. But again, North Carolina, I still think this is a really good team. Defensively, they just didn't bring it here against Virginia. Virginia made North Carolina look very uncomfortable in this game. So North Carolina here at number 18, I dropped them a good bit after that loss to Virginia. Missouri at number 17, they're sitting here at 7-1. This has definitely been the most surprised team of the 2023 season, especially for the SEC and everything. Missouri is a team I did not expect to challenge, for the SEC East Division spot. Missouri, I think they definitely have a better resume than North Carolina. They have a top 25 win over Kansas State, and they also were very competitive against LSU. And then they got LSU here at number 16. I meant to put LSU ahead of Missouri this past weekend in my top 25 rankings and everything, but I just didn't really look into the games a lot. But, LSU has definitely a better, not a better resume than Missouri, but, Missouri has a better resume than LSU, but LSU has the head-to-head win. So that's the reason why I can't put Missouri here ahead of LSU this week. Missouri, though, they've been very surprising. LSU, though, coming off that big win over Army. I think I kind of expected Army to kind of run out the clock in that game, but LSU definitely brought their, game in this one. They have a bye week coming up this weekend. They'll play Alabama next weekend. That game more than likely can probably decide the SEC West perhaps, but I think the SEC West is definitely wide open. When you look at Ole Miss, they're still in that conversation. I don't think there's any other team in the SEC West that can challenge, all 3 of these teams. I mean, obviously Alabama and LSU, I think, is pretty much going to decide the SEC West. But we'll see what happens. But again, LSU is ahead of Missouri here, just the head-to-head matchup. But these are my rankings from 16 through 20. And again, I dropped the Tar Heels really big this weekend. I pretty much, had them at number 10 this past week, but dropping after that game against Virginia. So let's now go 11 through 15. Notre Dame here at number 15. Had a bye week this weekend. They have, they don't have like a really good resume, but, Louisville here at number 14. Louisville still has that loss to Pittsburgh. They had a bye week as well this weekend, so not much to talk about the Irish and the Cardinals here. But Louisville, I still keep Notre Dame here right behind Louisville just because of the head-to-head matchup and everything. So that's the reason why the Cardinals are ahead of Notre Dame in these top 25 rankings. I got Utah here at number 13 at 6-1. Big win against USC. And you probably noticed that USC is not in these top 25 rankings. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and that's not enough for me to keep them here in the top 25 either. They don't have a resume here to keep them in the top 25 either. Utah has a great resume now. I mean, obviously with that big win over USC, they get here into the top 15. And I got Oregon here at number 12. They do have that loss to Washington a couple weeks ago, but, I keep Oregon here ahead of Utah. I know Utah should be ahead of Oregon, but This game right here really decides who is going to be ahead of them, ahead of either team here as we head into this game this weekend. Oregon and Utah are playing this weekend in the Pac-12, and just when you look at the Pac-12, obviously it's definitely wide open. Like I said, you got Oregon and Utah are still fighting there for that Pac-12 spot, and then you got, obviously UCLA and Oregon State as well battling. We'll talk about Oregon State in just a minute, but again, this game right here between Oregon and Utah is going to decide who will jump into the rankings and who will be ahead of them and everything. But like I said, I got to see Utah and Oregon play against each other in order for me to put Utah ahead of Oregon. Both of these teams as well have both the same records and everything. But again, Oregon and Utah here, two Pac-12 teams at 12 and 13. Then I got Penn State here dropping after that loss to Ohio State. Not by a bunch though, because I think they were very competitive, but they just struggled on third down in that game. Penn State had so many opportunities to win this game, but, Ohio State kept pressuring Drew Aller in this game. It was definitely uncomfortable. Missed some really good throws down the field as well. But, again, Penn State is not done yet. I think they're still in contention to probably win the East this year. They just got to, beat Michigan and everything. And I think I think they have to, see Michigan defeat Ohio State. If Penn State wins the head-to-head over Michigan, if Michigan beats Ohio State in the head-to-head, that's probably going to put Penn State here in the Big Ten championship and everything. But again, I just don't think Penn State is out of it just yet. But I dropped them just a few spots, but not a lot here. I got them at number 11 here, sitting with a record of 6-1. So these are my rankings from 11 through 15 here, my top 25 rankings. Let's go to the top 10 now. We got 6 through 10. I got Ole Miss here at number 10. Big win on the road at Auburn. It wasn't really an easy game for them, but, the offense just continues to be very good for them. The defense looks like it's getting better for Ole Miss. They still have a tough schedule the rest of the way, though. Like I said, I think Ole Miss is still in contention to win the West, but, with those losses, to Alabama and everything, I just don't think they're going to outmatch Alabama, to win the West and everything. And also, Ole Miss has the head-to-head win over LSU, so that's the reason why Ole Miss is ahead of LSU as well in the rankings. So they're here at number 10 for me, a close win again against Auburn on the road and everything. Oregon State had a bye week this weekend, not much to talk about them. They're here at number 9 for me. Now, this team has a really good resume. They have 2 top 25 wins. I think they have a top 25 win over UCLA, and they also have a top 25 win somewhere else on that schedule and everything. I think it's against Utah. Yes, Utah, they beat them as well early in the year, so that's the reason why Oregon State is also ahead of Utah in the rankings. And then Alabama here at number 8. This is a team that pulled away from Tennessee late in the second half, and again, Tennessee looked the better team than Alabama, but Tennessee, I guess, ran out of stamina in the second half, and it was just pretty much all Alabama in that second half. Jalen Milroe played well in the second half as well, was running the football pretty well. Alabama, Jace McClendon was running the football as well, and that was kind of the key going into this game. Alabama didn't really have a good running attack team. This game kind of really decided, can Alabama run the football against this Tennessee defense? And that's exactly what they did in the second half. The first half they couldn't do that, but again, Alabama just made the plays that they needed to. And again, Alabama is here at number 8 for me in my top 25 rankings. Then I got Texas here at number 7, a close win over Houston on the road. Texas, the reason why they're ahead of Alabama is because of the head-to-head matchup. Texas beat them in the second weekend of the college football season. I think Texas, doesn't have a better resume than Alabama. Texas has the head-to-head win, so that's the reason why Texas is still here at, ahead of Alabama and everything. But, again, Texas, close win on the road at Houston. It wasn't their best performance. Again, they're coming off of a bye week and everything, so maybe they can figure things out as they head to the rest of the year. Washington here at number 6. Sluggish game against, Arizona State. I meant to put their 7-0 there. They're 7-0 now, on the season, and also still undefeated in the Pac-12. But like I said, when you look at the Pac-12 standings, obviously it's very close. Washington controls it, but, Oregon's right behind them. Utah is right behind them. And when I look at the Pac-12, I just think it's going to be very difficult for Washington to win out for the rest of the year. I think it's going to be very tough. And, after that performance against Arizona State, I don't think that's going to be quite enough for them to get to the college football playoff. They also had that top 10 win over Oregon. Maybe that's a good resume for them. I think they have the better, resume than Texas, but Alabama is also right behind them. So, but again, Washington is still undefeated. I meant to put them at 7-0 instead of 6-0, so that's my bad there. But Washington again, close win over Arizona State. It wasn't really an impressive performance, and like I said, I just think it's going to be very difficult for Washington to win out in the Pac-12. But it's more than likely that we could get, Washington and Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. Maybe more than likely to get Utah and Washington. But like I said, the Pac-12 is definitely wide open. There are a lot of teams that can win it. So these are my rankings from 6 through 10 in my college football rankings here for week number 9. Let's now go to the top 5. The top 5 stays the same, but I made a change here at 4 and 5. I got Oklahoma here at number 5, dropping a spot after that sluggish game against UCF. UCF gave Oklahoma some really good scares in this game. Obviously it was Dylan Gabriel against his former team in this one, and they were showing why they, obviously are still a really good program and everything. But Oklahoma here, they survive a pretty close one. When you look at the rest of the schedule for Oklahoma, their only tough game left on the schedule, they still have to play Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State looks like they're getting better, and also they still got to play Kansas. And it's more than likely that we don't get Oklahoma and Texas in the, Big 12 championship. I mean, we could probably see Texas, but, like I said, I think Oklahoma, this is still a really good team. The defense still is continuing to improve. But, again, after that game, I think Oklahoma just needs to drop a spot here. And then Ohio State here at number 4. I think they have a better resume than Oklahoma. Obviously, Ohio State has 2 top 25 wins over Notre Dame. They're here in the top 25 rankings. And then, of course, you got the win over Penn State from a couple days ago. Ohio State's defense has played pretty well, this year. They gave, Penn State, like I said, some struggles on third downs. They pressured Drew Aller at quarterback and everything. And when I just look at that Ohio State and Michigan game, can Ohio State score some points on that Michigan defense? That will kind of tell us, if Ohio State's offense is good enough. The offense has not been good enough, but the defense has been very strong. So Ohio State here at number 4. And like I said, I made a change here at number 4 and number 5. The Buckeyes, I think, definitely have a better resume than Oklahoma. So that's the reason why Ohio State is ahead of Oklahoma this weekend. Then I got Florida State here at number 3. Big win against Duke here this past weekend. Florida State definitely has changed a lot. This is the first time that they're 7-0 since 2014, and we're starting to see the Florida State team that a lot of people expected this year. This is a team that's definitely going to make it to the ACC championship. I don't really see anybody else beating Florida State in the ACC, just because when you look at the schedule for Florida State, they don't have to play Louisville on the schedule, which is the good news. I mean, I think they won't really get upset somewhere. I mean, maybe they could more than likely get upset somewhere, but I just don't really see anybody else beating Florida State here. But it's going to be hard to tell who Florida State's going to be playing in the ACC championship. And like I said, North Carolina took an L to Virginia this weekend. And then you got, of course, Louisville still in that conversation. You also got, some other ACC teams like Duke. Maybe we get a rematch between the Seminoles and the Blue Devils in the ACC title game, but we'll see how it goes for the rest of the way here. And then I got Michigan here, still at number 2. Michigan's offense continuing to be very explosive. It's now been 4 straight weeks in a row that the offense has been very explosive. The defense shut out Michigan State this weekend. So, again, Michigan, very impressive performance. And then I got Georgia here at number 1. They had a bye week this weekend, so not much to talk about Georgia, but they'll play Florida this weekend. And if you look at the rest of the schedule for Georgia, they like I said, got Florida coming up this weekend. They got Missouri to still play, Tennessee to still play. Tennessee took a loss to Alabama, which I don't think Georgia's going to have any problems in that game now. Even though it's on the road, I think Georgia's going to win that game. And then, of course, you got Ole Miss as well. I think more than likely that Ole Miss can give the Georgia defense a little bit of a scare, but again, that's a home game for Georgia. So I think Georgia, coming out of the bye week this weekend, I think they'll start to look like that dominant team. It's going to really come down to this game this weekend against Florida. So these are the top 5 teams here. Again, they stay the same. And again, the Buckeyes have a better resume than Oklahoma. I know a lot of people won't agree with this, change and everything, but again, Ohio State has the win over Notre Dame early in the year, and then, of course, they have that win over Penn State over the weekend. And I know Oklahoma Oklahoma's got a win over Texas, but that's just a top, that's also just their first top 25 win. So I think Ohio State would get into the playoff just based off of that resume and everything, even though Oklahoma is undefeated. So Ohio State and Oklahoma here, this is the only change I made to the top 5. But these are my top 5 teams from 1 through 5. Again, they stay the same, and those are my top 25 rankings heading into Week 9 of the 2023 college football season. We are now officially heading into the last weekend here of the month of October before we have our first playoff rankings in the month of November for the last 4 weeks of the month of November as well. But this college football season of 2023 is starting to get more crazier. But give me your thoughts on these top 25 rankings down in the comments below, and also give me your top 25 rankings also down in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.